my Discord server. What's up, McCallum? How's everybody doing so far, guys? We're just gonna kind of wait for some people to funnel in here. I'm just going to ping my Discord server, that you can join. And then after this, I think we'll probably be good to start. Don't really see a reason not to start. This is the first time that I've had a face cam on the live stream, so if you do like that, I'll keep it in for next time. It's going to be small in the top left corner. Let me see what it looks like on models when I do that. That looks perfect. Maybe I can make it a bit bigger too, actually. I just made it a tad bit bigger. Let's see when I'm looking at Storm Prediction Center outlooks, what it looks like. That'd probably work. I don't know why Steam opened, but yeah, so we're gonna talk about Friday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday coming up. And I think we probably should start doing that right now. So we'll first start by talking about the Storm Prediction Center's outlook. We have a large risk of severe weather likely Friday, stretching from Iowa/Minnesota/Wisconsin all the way into Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, into the Ohio Valley and western Appalachian Mountains. The most significant risk is going to be from Arkansas, Mississippi, up into Iowa and Illinois. In the hatched region there, which is all of the enhanced risk, there's potential for maybe some very large hail up in Iowa and Missouri. Significant damaging winds will be possible throughout the whole thing, and there's probably going to be a zone of strong tornado potential as well throughout this. Sorry, I'm busy playing Northside Chicago. Anyways, hi. What's up, Chargers? Day 7, there's also a severe risk. This is one of the biggest severe risks that the SPC has issued on Day 7. It includes eastern Oklahoma, northern Louisiana, northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, a good portion of Tennessee and Kentucky, southern half of Illinois, southern third of Indiana, majority of Missouri, and all of Arkansas. Widespread severe weather is going to be possible, as the Storm Prediction Center notes. So that's going to be very interesting for that. Now let's go and look into some of the raw model data. So let's go to the RAP. Let's look at what it has, and I will dissect the HRRR as well as that loads in. We have this shortwave trough that's starting to really deepen in California with a low pressure there. Not close at all. Really starting to eject. It weakens a little bit on Friday and then really gains strength as we get into Thursday, and then really gains strength as we get into Friday. This 500 millibar low is going to be located in Nebraska and South Dakota around 18Z, where storms are expected to initiate somewhere in Iowa/Missouri. I'll use a different color because this color is probably going to interfere. And if you're asking questions right now, I will get to them in a little bit. So storms are probably going to initiate somewhere in here in the mid-afternoon, maybe a little bit in here with this little shortwave thing, and then probably in here as well. There's going to be several zones of severe potential. So the severe threat will probably be maximized around 21Z as the shortwave trough continues to eject, and we start to get the max severe risk. Extremely strong 500 millibar flow will be present across Illinois, Iowa, indicative of a significant severe weather outbreak being possible across this region. Further to the south, you're going to have a little less flow, which means your storms are going to be more subtly forced, which probably means you're probably going to have a bit more discrete convection down further to the south. I think up north we'll probably have a 1 to 3 hour window of discrete convection before everything becomes linear, or embedded supercells, which embedded supercells is very much a possibility as well. Let's go look into and dissect the RAPS environment. We'll start at 21Z. And let's go into the Midwest. So we have very strong 850 millibar flow. I should go nationally still. Really from Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, all the way up toward the low. It's 50 plus knots widespread. Even looking at 925, it's 40 plus knots with embedded pockets of 50 to 60 knots there. Looking at your plume of lapse rates in the middle levels, you can see there is very much a plume of steep middle level lapse rates from Iowa, Illinois, through Arkansas. Mississippi probably won't have as big of a threat if this actually holds together, especially like northern Mississippi into Tennessee right there, as the threat will probably be limited a little bit due to the thermodynamics in the middle levels not being so great. Moisture on the wrap is abundant. If we get middle 60s dew points to get into Illinois, this is not going to be good, folks. Low 60s get all the way up into southeast Wisconsin / southwest, or southeast Minnesota, so southwest Wisconsin along that low pressure. And this is kind of your surface pattern that you have here. If I have it right, it's something like that. And then you have a cold front / dry line type thing. I think it's probably an occluded front like right here. And then it goes into probably a cold front for a tad bit, and then probably a dry line. After that, I would assume it's a dry line. If I got that wrong, I got that wrong, but it's a complex surface pattern that we have going here. Very strong low pressure system into the upper 980s. NAM's or RAP's actually one of the weaker low pressure low pressures, and you can see we have several areas of storms. We have probably would be discrete supercells here, probably would be some sort of discrete convection here, and probably a line setting up here. Now let's go into the Midwest sector, and let's first kind of observe the Midwest and what the RAP shows in the Midwest. So, looking at the surface dew points, which we're going to go into these, this is going to be one of the reasons why I think it goes linear quickly. You have southwesterly winds at the surface. Now, further to the north, they are northerly. Taking a look at box soundings in central Illinois, they are extremely potent. Even though we don't have, I'll actually take it a little. I'll take it further south and a little bit further to the west to get the better low-level thermodynamics. There we go. So they have a bullet hodograph, which is common with some of these setups, especially higher end ones. Storm motions of 50 knots, so that's 60 mile per hour. I'm going to have to race to catch up to these storms. Thermodynamic profiles, they go up to like 11 kilometers. Very steep thermodynamics as well. 3 cape of 80 joules per kilogram there with this box sounding, and not extremely, but very steep lapse rates. There is a little bit of difference between our 1 and 6 kilometer flow, which could keep convection a little bit discrete. You can see there's a little bit of difference, especially as you get further above. Not that much backing towards the surface, though, which will be a negative. Your hodograph, though, is pretty streamwise with lots of venting, so storms will be visible in the discrete phase. Again, its stability is pretty strong as well. Let's see, any questions? What do you think the tornado potential will be in western Illinois on Friday? The tornado potential will probably be very high across western Illinois on Friday. That's what I'll say. I think that's probably the area in Illinois that's going to have the highest threat. You have an abundance of 3 cape that's going to set up across western Illinois there, along with strong shear as well. Now, the highest 3 cape max is in Iowa. Now, if I take a sounding in this, it's like 400 3 cape, but if I take a sounding in this, it's more of a hail threat, which isn't too surprising. But as we get into the evening hours, as the front approaches, 3 cape values skyrocket across central Illinois and into western Illinois and northern Illinois, and the sounding is still potent. Looking into the satellite, you can see, I mean, it's the RAP, so you don't really have that much going for it. But yeah, you can see a line of storms starting to form there, possibly embedded supercells. Take a box sounding in northeastern Illinois. I do not have Pivotal Plus. Okay, I'll do that right now for you, Alan. What time do you want me to take it for you? 13Z is 13Z or 23Z fine? Is that when you want it? I'll take it at 23Z for you. So here's the northeastern Illinois box sounding. There is a bit of a warm nose at 700 millibars in the surface there, and causing some capping to kind of get there, and your lower level lapse rates to be a little bit lower than areas further to the east. Looks like these are going to be a little bit more low top. Still a pretty potent parameter space though. Okay, yep, 23. That is perfectly fine. Got you there. Got you your box sounding. Now let's go into the NAM, which has a stronger low pressure system, and as you can see, it has a line of embedded supercells as well. Dew points getting into the lower 60s. I think the NAM is probably underdoing moisture, especially in here. I think moisture is going to be in the 60s in there. Fill that area up in the 60s, maybe a pocket of mid 60s as well. So looking at another thing to watch out for is the surface winds. Even not even in the line, behind the front, winds are going to be, if I can get this to load, the surface winds are going to be 40 plus miles per hour, which is going to yield wind advisories and possibly high wind warnings and high wind watches over the next few days. I mean, this literally goes under Cyclone Genesis to the west of Illinois there. Now, I'll also briefly talk about this. There's also a winter storm potential as well with this system. Lots of snow possible from Minnesota up into Wisconsin there. Let's go back into the severe weather aspect of this and talk about the NAM. We'll talk about the NAM 3 kilometer. I think the NAM 3 kilometer has a little bit a better handle than the NAM 12 kilometer on this setup. So the NAM 3 kilometer has a pretty potent setup as well. It has a line of embedded supercells tracking across the Midwest. And I also forgot to talk about the South. I will talk about the South in a second. My bad if you were wondering what my thoughts were on the South. Basically what it has is it has a little bit of some storms along the warm front there, and it has the main show a little bit to the west. I think it's probably a little bit too slow. But soundings, again, are pretty beautiful. As we get toward 22 Zulu time, we start to see kind of two areas emerge. I would say this is what the NAM 3 kilometer is trying to depict with prefrontals here, and possibly this as well. And then this is your line. So areas 1 and 2 are possible prefrontals. Area 3 is your line. NAM 3 kilometer is not the highest res, but it's got a pretty impressive signal. I'll say that. You can see it even tries to depict a supercell out here in Western Illinois ahead of the line. Well, let's talk about the environment that the NAM 3 kilometer depicts in front of this whole mess of stuff that forms on it. So here in Western Illinois, Northeast Missouri, and Southeast Iowa is where I plucked this box, and it's extremely similar to the wrap, except you actually back the surface winds a tad bit, which will really increase the threat for discrete supercells. If the HRRR backs the surface winds, everybody's going to need to scream because that's not going to be good. More on a serious note, though, storm motions are still 50 to 55 knots. Again, I'm going to have to race to get to even stay with these storms, as I'm going to be storm chasing this event. I'll talk about that a little later. Steep lapse rates throughout the profile, good 3 cape. Again, well balanced thermodynamic profile, and pretty extreme shear profiles as well. So strong tornadoes, significant damaging winds, and possibly some very large hail is possible at the start of this evolution. What's up, Justin and SP? How y'all doing? Now looking into the wrap further south, I promised I would do this, and I'll look at the NAM 3 kilometer further to the south. Pretty interesting parameter space does develop across eastern Arkansas, northwest Mississippi, and southwest Tennessee. Looking into box soundings, storm motions are still 50 knots, so they're still pretty fast, but they're not as fast. They're not 55 like some areas project further to the north. You have very strong low-level shear. You have some surface backing from your more western winds at the mid-levels. Now your low-level lapse rates are kind of weak, I'll say that, but the wrap could be underdoing it with the temperatures. 3 cape is only 50, but that is fine, serviceable. Solid thermodynamics with 1,000 mixed layer cape, although a more skinny cape profile from 13 to the kilometers to the surface. Wind shear that does not change much from like really 4 to 8 kilometers, which could be a negative. Not allowing for as much SR inflow, but still you'll have some. For real, I love not being able to keep up with the storms. Yeah, that's gonna suck. And as the HRRR loads in, why don't I talk about my storm chasing target for Friday? We'll get on Google Maps for this one. So, you did not just see that. To be, once it loads, I think my storm chasing target is probably going to be somewhere in here is I think where my target's going to be. And I'm probably going to stay on the Illinois side of the river. Somewhere in here is target number 1. I could go into Missouri if I needed to, if I went to Quincy. If I went to Hamilton, Iowa, or Hamilton, Illinois, I could go into Iowa. If I went further north, I could go into Iowa. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. There's also the secondary target that I've picked up on further to the south near St. Louis, east of St. Louis, somewhere in here. The RAP really picks up on this target as well, which could be a possibility. Terrain is okay down here. It's pretty good further to the north up here, within here, but yeah. Terrain's decent really throughout the whole target area on Friday. Yeah, for real, I love not being able to keep. Yeah, that's gonna suck. So looking into the RAP, you can see there's definitely going to be a target along the warm front / triple point further to the north. If you're gonna storm chase, if you're in Wisconsin, you're gonna storm chase. That's not too terrible of an idea. Now let's talk about the QLCS tornado potential, though. This is going to be pretty significant. If this does materialize, NAM 3 Kilometer has been really keen in on a bunch of embedded supercells in this line, really from in here. So areas like Peoria, Springfield, St. Louis, Rockford, Peru need to be on watch. Pontiac, Bloomington, Champaign, maybe Chicago, but that's a maybe. Looks like you're probably going to get not going to have as much instability. Looking at your instability, though, you have 500 to 1,000 joules per kilogram of mixed layer CAPE, which is more than enough given of energy and fuel for the storms, given that you have a very strong lower level jet stationed across the risk area with storm relative helicity of 300 meters per squared second to 450 meters per squared second. And that is in part due to a lower level jet of 50 to 70 knots, which is quite impressive. With these storms, the NAM 3 Kilometer also does spit out wind gusts of over 60, which does not surprise me. Also, 18Z HRRR has 400 more MO CAPE than the RAF. Yes, I did forget to mention the 18Z HRRR. Thank you, McCallum, for telling me about that. So the 18Z HRRR is quite interesting. It actually yields a target, has several targets again. So, targets number 1, the target that I would probably go after the most is right here. That's target number 1. Target number 2 is further to the south along the cold front, a little bit further away. Target number 3 is somewhere in Iowa, again, a little bit further away. Target number 4 is the prefrontal potential right by home, very conditional but intense potentially. So those are the 4 targets that I observe on the HRRR. This is nice. 1 to 10. I don't know how that happens viewer-wise. Yeah, the HRRR has some very synoptically favorable. Lots of 3 CAPE that gets put onto the scene there. You have a strong mid-level jet that really puts on. I think vectors are a bit better further to the south for discrete supercells, actually. Anywhere from Peoria down to Quincy to St. Louis, the vectors are a bit more favorable for discrete supercells up there. I think especially into Iowa, you could line out quite fast here. I think this area could have a couple hours right in here between these. But I think this is probably going to have down here, central to western Illinois into Missouri is probably going to have the most time. This is probably going to have the least amount of time. And this is probably going to have the middle amount of time for discrete supercells. If the HRRR verified. The low-level jet on the HRRR is already very strong, 50 plus knots, and it's only 18Z. That's just going to go up from there. Your moisture, HRRR is mixing out a bit too much as normal, but it's got moisture already in the mid-60s to lower 60s. Pretty widespread. See if anybody else commented on here. Nope. So currently, let's see, the HRRR right now is about 14 hours into its run. So probably in 15 minutes or so, we'll have an 18Z HRRR to break down. Before that, let's go into looking at Tuesday. So Tuesday next week could be another significant severe weather maker. It's on my thumbnail for a reason. So we got to talk about it. And I'm gonna close every single tab that I have open except for the 0ZHRRR. We'll leave that open. So, next week for Tuesday, let's look at the ensembles. We'll take a look at everything that I have at my disposal for this. So what model do you guys want me to start off with? GFS or Euro? I'll let the chat decide what we start off with, and I'll go from there. I'll let you guys kick in for a second. If anybody will respond. Oh wait, no, I forgot the stream's behind. Euro? Okay, so we'll start with the Euro. So, oh, okay, everybody wants the Euro first. Okay, we'll start with the Euro. So here's the Euro. It's got a solution that would favor supercells across central Illinois and areas in here on Friday, but we already talked about Friday. So let's go into later next week. So starting Monday, this is when the severe weather sequence could start, and we'll stop it at hour 132 and talk about that. We have this low here in the Utah Basin that's going under Cyclone Genesis, Lee Cyclone Genesis. We have a subtle shortwave in Illinois that's going to bring potential for elevated hailers on Monday, at least based off the look that I'm seeing right now. Looking into forecast soundings, that is what is going to happen. So it looks like there could be an elevated hail risk on Monday in Illinois, and yeah, that's going to happen. Probably anywhere from Illinois to Missouri to Indiana if the Euro was right. You have this monster trough ejecting in too. We don't want to worry about that. But you don't gotta worry about that. But toning that down and becoming a little bit more serious. Looks like a shortwave is going to come in there and bring a party on Monday. Move eastward. Tuesday, severe weather. So this is our main severe weather day. Tuesday. This is really when it starts to get going. Is at 0Z, and let's stop it at 0Z on Tuesday. So the Euro wants storms to initiate along the Triple Point in Iowa and along the open warm sector in Illinois, Wisconsin, Iowa, and then also further south in Arkansas, Kentucky, kind of pretty similar to Tuesday. The only problem is this warm sector is huge. You have your low pressure, and it spans from literally the moist sector expands from literally Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, down to the coast, which is impressive. That is a huge warm sector that you have at hand there. Deep moisture over Missouri, where a very favorable environment is shown on forecast soundings. And you got the same thing in Iowa. If you take a sounding in Iowa, it's the same thing. Now, note there's a bit more capping in Iowa. Ahead of those storms that do fire up in Illinois, you see a very favorable parameter space, minus the capping. And you can see here, I'll try to get a more favorable. There's a more favorable sounding. It's a little bit too capped at 0Z. Probably would look better at 21. Box the whole warm sector. Oh, you're Jensen. What's up, Jensen? So we'll box the dry line first. The Euro cap busts the dry line, but the dry line could be quite significant. You can see there's a bit of a capping inversion there, but that hodograph is very well vented. I will take a box sounding for you, McCallum in Missouri. So here's a box sounding in Missouri. Very favorable environment. I think you probably would fire. You have the forcing, and we'll talk about synoptics in a second. Instability from about 11 kilometers down to the surface with a pretty thick instability profile. Very strong hodograph as well with inhibiting strong wind shear. Looking into the synoptics, this is what you should be looking for this far out. And we have a long wave with not really a closed low, but a sort of closed low in Nebraska, and extremely strong flow from really just extending out of the trough there, axis of the trough. This is a long wave with probably meridional to zonal flow. I don't know which one it is, but severe weather would be probable really anywhere in here with this solution at 0Z. We'll look at the next day as well, because severe weather will be possible Wednesday. This trough is going to exit the region, but there still will be excess amounts of flow left over to where you still could see severe weather, depending upon the cold front speed and all that jazz. You can see the severe weather sector is going to be from, because of that, how occluded the front is, it's going to be from Michigan down probably here is where your severe potential would be if the Euro happened. Now let's go into the GFS. That's what the GFS has for Friday. We're not in the globals range. We are in the CAMS range, so we got to talk about the we got to talk about the GFS for the longer range. Here we go. So Sunday, there is a conditional threat for severe weather across the plains. The GFS does initiate some storms with a subtle shortwave, and it kind of tracks eastward. GFS is a lot more different than the Euro. The GFS on Monday has a severe event, not really too different from the Euro. It has one in the plains here that initiates, and then again elevated hailers out here, and maybe a subtle shortwave down here. Stop it for a second at hour 126, and we'll take a look at 500 millibar to confirm. Yeah, so it looks like we have a subtle. Looks like there's a subtle shortwave here, another shortwave here, and a shortwave here. So several areas again to look at for severe potential. Looking at dew points. So again, Illinois hailers looks like. We'll take a forecast sounding to confirm. No, there's not enough elevated instability, unless we go further to the north and there's more elevated instability. No, okay. Further to the south, down into Dixie Alley, looks like that would be a hail threat. There's your hail threat. Now along the dry line in Texas, this is where the GFS has another event. And yeah, there could be hail, tornadoes, and wind in a good structure day with this. A day before the day type deal. Now, what's different on the GFS for Tuesday is that it's got a nasty event down in the plains, but it's also a little bit slower than the Euro. What it also has, it has a nasty event along the warm front. The warm front on the GFS, why it's so nasty? I mean, just take a look at all these backed winds along the warm front on the GFS from Illinois to Missouri. That is a potent solution, and you couple that with a intense embedded shortwave at 500 millibars, and that screams significant severe weather event. At 3Z, that's shortwave defined is even more defined as it gets over Illinois. That is just significant if that would play out. And yeah, you can see that long wave is lagging a little bit more behind, so this embedded shortwave would have to carry the deal. So anywhere from, and we'll talk about the broad severe threat, but anywhere from Kansas City into Illinois would deal with this shortwave. Here's a look at south central Illinois ahead of that shortwave. That is a nasty environment. Very good photograph. More of a plains-esque profile, if you ask me. And then as you get toward 03Z Zulu time, we'll take a sounding ahead of the band of storms once my pivotal weather loads. And again, another potent environment emerges itself. That is just insane. Very streamwise low of a photograph with a vented profile as you get down here. Thermodynamics from about 12 kilometers down to the surface again with steep lapse rates. Any questions? Doth, what do you mean by that, Jensen? Thanks for the 15 people that we did have on here. Means a lot to me. The GFS also has an event the day after this, and we'll talk about that as well. So let's go into talking about that. So the GFS has another event on Wednesday. It has an event stretching from, look at 500 millibar. Has an event stretching from Michigan, Illinois, down into Arkansas, Louisiana. So it has a broad scale event. The synoptic pattern is a lot more favorable than the Euros is. You have a broad area of theta E from that area as well. Looking into the dew points, your low pressure is not as placed out from the system to where you would get vented winds. It's placed still in an area where you will, but as you get further to the south, there's an area that doesn't have as vented winds. Vented winds along here, though. But as we can see here, the environment further to the south is not so great until you get later into the day. And that's when the environment gets better on the GFS down further to the south. Take a box down there, and we'll see the environment isn't great. Further to the north, you can see probably more of a damaging wind threat up here, but you never know. That's pretty much what it is. Northwest flow type of stuff, is it true? Kind of. As we get toward 21 Zulu time, the threat kind of picks up in Ohio into PA with these summer-like photographs, you could say. And not thermodynamic summer-wise, like, though. As we get into the south, Arkansas, a favorable environment there for severe weather does project itself. So I think this Wednesday could potentially get a day 7:15. We'll have to wait and see. Box Eastern Kansas at 0Z. What's up, Sam's Weather and Time Lapse? We will get an ultra crazy 60 hatch tornado risk. Shut up, Justin. You want me to box Kansas at Eastern Kansas at 0Z Chargers? I can do that for you. Do you want it down into Oklahoma too? I'll go to the central U.S. sector, and it's gonna take us. I did not mean to take a sounding. I'm just gonna wait for you Chargers to respond. Okay, you want it down into Oklahoma as well? I will very much do that for you. Here's a box sounding from Kansas down into Oklahoma, and oh man, that would probably convect. Storm motions are very manageable, 40 knots. Thick cape from 12 kilometers to the surface. Moderate instability, not thick, my bad. Pretty favorable shear profiles as well. Steep lapse rates and solid low-level instability. That is something to be reckoned with. Justin exposed. Yeah, for real, McCallum. He did just get exposed. Let's go look at the HRRR. It is out to 01Z. Okay, it's got 60s dew points in the southwest Oklahoma. What do you got for me? You got nothing because you ain't convected. That's right. All you Thursday stands. It ain't convecting. Nebraska? What? Oh no. No way this actually did happen. Nebraska. You have to be pooping me. Okay, so the Tuesday, elevated hailers and structure bomb in Nebraska. That's all I'll say. There's gonna be a holistic track at Tuesday. I'm calling it right now. Who agrees with me? Dude, are you serious right now? That is not worrying, John. It's just a hail threat, okay? I'm just surprised that it convected. That's why I'm going a little crazy right now. Don't mind me. Let's see if you got any 0 to 2 to 5 kilometer holistic tracks. Very small. What about 0 to 3 kilometer? How? They aren't rooted to the surface worth 2 craps. Maybe the triple point did it. Boys, the triple point didn't. What about 500 millibore? What are we looking at? Oh, there's some stupid subtle shortwaves. Justin, you should clip that and put it and screen record it and then put it into one of the Discord servers. That would be funny. Let's go look at Twitter for a second while we kind of wait for the 0ZH-RRR to load in more. Nice. No, I'm talking about the... Oh, you're talking about the PDS sounding. I mean, I wouldn't really say something's concerning given it's a PDS sounding, but go off, I guess. Okay, let's look at the ensembles for next week. Here we go. Here is the Euro ensemble for Tuesday next week. Euro has been consistent on more of a low pressure system being placed here, which would favor a severe weather event, something like this for Illinois and Missouri. So I think the 15% is very much going to get extended into Illinois tonight. Looking at the low pressure mean, it's 995 millibars at 18Z, and then 995 millibars at 0Z. Low pressure means are all over the place, with some having the low pressure in Michigan being wrong, some in Colorado, New Mexico, Texas, and some all the way here, with the mean being in northwest Kansas, or northeast Kansas, northwest Missouri, southwest Iowa, southeast Nebraska. And there's one of the members that has a low down to 77. There's a lot of 77, so once placement gets a bit more consistent, we'll have a stronger low pressure. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. The GEFS, on the other hand, is way further to the south, which I think I just showed you. That's pretty rare for the GEFS to be slower than the Euro. Doesn't happen very often. Yeah, 994 millibar. So you have some that are a little bit further to the north and faster, but you have a lot of them clustered here. That would favor a plain severe weather event. Looking into the dew point means, looks like anywhere from Ohio, Indiana, probably not as much in Ohio, but Indiana, probably into Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas, really in here. Again, this is the area that's really starting to stick out. Let's go into let's go into College of Dew page, and let's look at the GFS ensemble projections for next week. We'll look at the means first in the continental United States, and then we'll go to specific areas. So the mean for Thursday, Supercell composite mean, Nebraska, a 3 to 4. Down into Oklahoma, we have a 6. So we get into Friday, we have a mean in Iowa/Western Illinois of 4. Further south, a 5. As we get into Sunday, we have a mean of 3 to 4 in Texas. Monday, a 6 in Texas, with 4 to 5 in that other orange area. And then here we go with Tuesday. That is extremely impressive. An 8 already. I would not be surprised if we do see a 30% sometime soon in like southern Illinois, Oklahoma, Texas, something like here. We could definitely see a 30% issued there, or a little further north. Probability of 1,000 Cape is extremely high. Wow! 100% in some areas. That is crazy. Probability of supercell composite is maxed out. So what this is basically saying is a severe weather outbreak is becoming increasingly likely next week. Looking into individual ensembles. Number 4, thanks for killing me. Number 2, thanks for killing me. Number 9, thanks for killing me. Number 10, thanks for killing me. Number 16, thanks for killing me. Number 18 and 20, thanks for killing me. Okay, but on a serious note, every single one of them except 12 have a significant severe weather output. Bro, someone needs to go to Nebraska. So that's what Jimmy's doing. That's what Jimmy and Cody are doing. John, or Chargers. They're going to Nebraska for this. Looking at Ensemble Cape, there's every single one has at least 2,000 joules per kilogram, which is just bat crap crazy. That's all I gotta say. Bat crap crazy. And then even the mean supercell composite at 6Z is still high. That's crazy. As we get into Wednesday, severe weather is going to be a possibility. Again, this thing stretches from Texas all the way to Michigan. So, large-scale, broad system we're looking at. Ensemble members have anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 joules per kilogram of Cape. Ensemble supercell composites are a bit more tame. Now let's look at the 500 millibar mean flow. And yeah, we can see really, with a trough like this, anywhere in... It's not going to work. Anywhere from... Oh, there we go. Anywhere from Michigan, Illinois, into Texas could be at hand for a severe weather risk. As we get into Wednesday, I would watch out for any embedded shortwaves that ride the warm front in here. But other than that, the main severe risk is going to be somewhere in here. Probably a little bit bigger than that because I shortballed it. But Tuesday, main severe risk, probably going to be somewhere in here. Or Monday. I got it all mixed up. My bad. All these hate Illinois, and I'm fine with that. For real, Sam. Is there more tornado potential in Arkansas and Missouri next week? I know. More than what? I mean, you can't really depict where the best tornado potential is going to be next week. I can tell you that Arkansas might be a bit removed, but they might also be in it. It's going to kind of depend. HRRR has now loaded out to 32 hours. So that means it's at 8Z on Friday, which is early in the morning. Got some early morning convection in Illinois. There could be a couple severe hailstones across the Midwest early Friday in the morning. Also, thanks guys for nearly 100 views. That is impressive. I'm gonna wait for this to load in a little bit. Yeah, could very well see some isolated large hail tomorrow. Early Friday morning / late what's it called? Late Thursday. That's what I was trying to spit out. I spat it out. Instability profiles a most unstable cape of around 800 there in Iowa, so that could be a hailer there. And then about 600 in Illinois, so we could see some hailstones. Yeah, it's a little bit far out to ask that question, John. You can have more broad areas further out, but you can't outline more specific areas until you get to about the day 3 to 4 range is when I would say you could probably do that. Let's look at the SRF on College Due page, and we'll look at the convective potential energy of over 2,000. And it's practically 0. Okay, how about 1,000? There we go. So 1,000 Cape is looking like a likelihood across Illinois, Western Illinois, Southeast Iowa, Eastern Iowa, Northeast Missouri, Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas. And of course, they move further to the east with time. Thoughts on St. Louis? Will this affect the Democratic Republic? Shut up, Nathan. Thoughts on St. Louis? So, St. Louis, going back over to the Storm Prediction Center site, for Day 7 Tuesday, you guys are in the severe risk. I would review your severe weather plans. Severe weather could occur. For Day 3 or Fridays, you're again in the 30 patch enhanced risk. I would again review your severe weather plans. Significant severe weather could happen. Strong straight line damaging winds above 70 miles per hour. Spin up tornadoes, potentially a stronger spin up. Those are kind of what's on the table. We are now to 10 Zulu time on the, what's it called? On the, gotta spit it out. HRRR run, there we go. Okay, so Ensemble are very clueless on Wednesday, which is to be expected for 7 days out, with low pressure anywhere from Ontario into Minnesota / Iowa. So we got a lot of range. We do have some certainty of thermodynamics. Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, down into Dixie. GFS is a little bit more north to south with that. Still from Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, down to Dixie. I don't know why I opened up another GFS tab. That's the 12Z run. Let's go to the 18. Is it the same? A little bit higher confidence. Okay. Let's go look at the Euro. And we'll look at 500 millibar flow, because we looked at 500 millibar flow on the GFS ensembles. So 500 millibar flow is, again, pretty similar to the GFS. And again, looks like the main area, Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, maybe, Oklahoma. Pretty at hand in here. Also severe risk overnight. It's going to just spread eastward. What are you talking about, Anish? That's nice. Whatever you're talking about right there. Okay, so with the HRRR, we are now out to 13 Zulu time. Here's what my local news has for their weather model. I think they use Barron. See a nice little squall line forming in with some prefrontals that try to develop when slabs Peoria, and that line really kicks in, and then it says, "Yeet, I'm out of here." They can be flying. Anybody have questions? There's 10 people in here. I'm sure somebody has a question. Thanks for asking a question, Blake. I'm glad that I was able to answer it for you. I'm kind of wait because my stream is, I think, a tad bit behind. Set your time-lapse camera up. Yeah, that'll be nice, Sam. Compare the NAM 3K and okay, let's just see this. Let me go out to a national view. Let me close these ensemble viewers because we don't need them now. This might actually be easier to look at on College Due page because it might load a tad bit faster than Pivotal because Pivotal's taking its sweet old time right now. So you want me to look at dew point, vection? Okay. Okay, so that's 0Z. Okay, let's look at the HRRR. Come on. 0Z. Oh my goodness, the HRRR is so much further to the north. It's also a bit faster with the front, too. But still, what in the blue moon is it doing? What that boy doing? It's already got 1,000 mixed layer cape. That is a straight bra moment. Yeah, I do agree, Justin. That is advecting at a much faster pace. That would be quite interesting. I don't know why, but Northeast Oklahoma, they were pretty crazy, McCallum on the 18Z run too, so I'm not too surprised. Let me look at that on Pivotal, because you can't get soundings. Just take a sounding at 13Z in Northeast Oklahoma. That is crazy. Let's be glad that this warm nose at 750 millibars is here. That hodograph that's trouble. The thermodynamic profile for the time of day is solid. Well, the lapse rates aren't, but the mid-level lapse rates are good. That's a nice EML. Let's go take a sounding over the warm sector, just a box sounding. I love that EML. That is a nice EML. Surface winds are veered though, and the front is flying, so it might be met. Yep, that's all you always say. I mean, surface winds being veered is definitely a problem. Could definitely. Ooh, that is looking messy in Arkansas though. On the HRRR run. Just gonna wait for this to load here. Ooh, pinged me. Justin, I would watch that surface slow is gonna just make some magic happen, okay? Let's see if the HRRR loaded frames. It did. Okay, let's go make my Weather Warrior pick for tomorrow. It's a competition I'm in. Weather Warrior. Okay, let's go look at HRRR. Sorry that I'm doing this right now. I'm just waiting for the HRRR to load in, guys. Thanks for probably one of my most successful streams so far, though. Not too bad, folks. Not too bad. 60, anywhere get some precipitation? Okay, looks like Wisconsin's getting hammered with lake effect snow, probably. Unless that's somehow rain, but I highly doubt. Nope, that's snow. Okay. So that's what I gotta say. I gotta give the Minecraft villager to that one. Yeah, you gotta do the Minecraft villager sometimes. It just has to come out. You just have to pull that card. HRRR has a supercell in North. Thanks for spoiling the run, Charger season. Thank you. Oh wow, it does. That's cool. What about what's the environment? It's probably outrunning the thermos. Yeah, it is. That's not cool. What's the 3 cape looking like? Oh, that's looking nasty. She's looking nasty. Does it actually have 3,000? That's cool. I'm just waiting for it to load in so I can give my thoughts on it. That's kind of the position I'm in right now. You know, if you know, you know. That's a song by what's his name? I forgot his name. Pusha T. There we go. I'm forgetting a lot of stuff today. Honestly, it's looking like the most favorable station. Let's just go with this. Playoffs. Okay, I made my pick. Okay. Let's look at the HRRR. It has surely loaded another frame. Okay, that was crap vection. The main convection has formed in Iowa. Okay, what is the HRRR doing in Wisconsin, bro? What? I would not chase that. That's too messy. What is the environment? That environment is trash. That is an elevated hailer. Where? Where do you want me to check the profiles, McCallum? Oh my goodness, that's over my house. Okay, that's not terrible. What about further south? Are they? Whew. Those are balling. Okay. I'm scared to see the new frame. Holy crap! That's 3,000 cape over my house. Oh my god! What the hell? If something taps into that near my house, that's not going to be good. Let's look at the environment. Not that good in Iowa. I'll be the first to say it. What about along the warm front? That looks okay. Waiting for the new frame to load. Arkansas? Oh, you're talking about Arkansas? Oh, that's where you're talking about. I was like, what? Oh, Missouri looks fire. Oh my god, Missouri! What the hell? Okay, let's look at Arkansas. What are the profiles like down there? Oh my god. That's crazy, dude. Okay, it looks like the supercells are firing off and somewhere in Iowa there. Thank you, John. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if Illinois is gonna fire. I'm not going to Missouri, John. Unless it's like Northeast Missouri. Let's see. Oh, that is a supercell in Northeast Iowa. Oh, shoot. It's convecting in Illinois. Oh, my God. Okay, sorry I'm going crazy, but that's not good. It's convecting in Illinois. Oh, no. Oh, my God. It's Jover. It's literally Jover. Dude, this is literally 328! What is this? What is happening? I have no clue. What the hell? What? Sorry I'm going crazy, guys. I haven't seen this in, like, so long over, like, Illinois. What the hell? Oh my, this is literally 328. Oh my god. That is insane. That's literally a 328 profile that I pulled. Oh my goodness. That is crazy, dog. That's an insane parameter space over Southwest Wisconsin, I'll say that. I guess the parameter space down south looks significant too, but I'm more worried about my area, of course. Oh man, that's just a line of supercells. What is the H-triple-R doing, dude? Box sounding in northern Illinois. What? Probably. Oh my god, the parameter space in northern Illinois is crazy. There it is. Dude, I'm gonna have to chase Chicago, aren't I? This is gonna not be good. I like that the H-triple-R just doesn't resolve an MCS at all. Oh my god, Chicago's done. This run literally reminds me of 328. That's how stupid it is. That also looks insane down near Champaign, too. This is not a good run if you're a citizen anywhere from Minnesota, Illinois, Wisconsin down to okay, Arkansas goes frickin' crazy, too. There's going to be a huge moderate tonight. H-triple-R doesn't even have a squall line, really, except down further south, and I think this is just a line of discrete supercells. This is crazy! Wow. There's gonna be a 15 hatched issue tonight, guys. Probably two of them, or a huge 15 hatched. I have not seen this at all in my forecasting career yet. Like something like this. It's crazy. H stripper roller just came in hot, dude. Seriously, John. I mean, this run's crazy. I don't know what else to say. I'm just flabbergasted. Pretty much, ain't it? I need to breathe. That's all I need to do. Justin, and you said this run was gonna be mid. Yeah, I do think it's gonna go moderate, John. Oh my god, that is crazy. Oh my god. They say triple R runs just crazy, guys. And that's the first time I've ever streamed having. It's like the first time I've ever streamed a model run coming in before. I don't know if you guys like that. I blame Justin G. For real, John. Well, I think I'm probably going to end the stream right here, guys. Yeah. So I'll see y'all in the next one, whenever it'll be. Thanks for tuning in, and bye.